The way to talk that drives women wild. Machiavelli's hidden tricks. Every time you open your mouth, you're taking a test. Most guys don't even realize they're failing before they start. It's not because they're rude or mean, it's because they're too predictable, too safe, too ordinary. They try to please, ask the expected questions, say the nice things, and then wonder why she barely remembers their name after they walk away. Here's the real deal. Women today aren't swept away by just being polite. They're drawn to a man who has presence, who creates a spark of tension, who seems to see right through them and knows exactly how to steer the conversation and her emotions. Let's get one thing straight. Niccolo Machiavelli, the master of strategy, never wrote a guide on how to charm women. But his ideas are pure gold for any man who wants to master the art of attraction. Why? Because he understood people, how they think, what drives them, and how they're pulled towards someone who radiates influence. In a world where women are constantly bombarded with compliments, messages, and attention, only the man who speaks with purpose and weight can make her stop in her tracks, feel something real and want more of him. This guide breaks down 7 powerful ways to transform how you communicate, not to entertain her, but to lead her, to spark curiosity, to shift her emotions, and to make her crave your presence. This isn't about cheesy pickup lines or tricks. It's about commanding a conversation with subtle, intentional power. Let's dive in. The first change you need to make is how you approach talking. Most men speak like they're trying to check a box, say something, get a response, move on. Their words are straight and predictable. Ask a question, give an answer, switch topics. It's like they're trying to wrap up the conversation neatly. But a man who captivates doesn't talk to finish a thought. He talks to plant questions in her mind. He leaves her wondering, intrigued, wanting more. Think about it. Women today are drowning in words, texts, social media, notifications, videos. What cuts through all that noise? It's not more words. It's the spaces between them. It's the pause that makes her lean in. It's the hint of something deeper that she can't quite figure out. When you talk like you're revealing a piece of a puzzle, not handing over the whole picture, you create a pull. She feels a mix of confusion, curiosity, and excitement. That's what makes her pay attention. Machiavelli would have said that real influence comes from what you don't say outright. Instead of explaining everything, slow down. Say just enough to make her curious. Let your words carry weight, like you're choosing them carefully. For example, if she asks what you do for fun, don't ramble about your hobbies. Try something like, I spend my time on things that make me feel alive. What about you? What makes your heart race? Then pause. Let her fill the silence. That moment of tension is where her mind starts chasing you. Here's how to make this work. Practice speaking with intention. When she asks you something, don't spill everything. Give a short, thoughtful answer that invites her to dig deeper. If she shares something personal, don't jump to share your own story right away. Reflect on what she said, maybe with a question like, "That's interesting. What made you feel that way?" Keep a little distance between what you say and what you mean. That gap is what pulls her in, making her want to figure you out. When a woman feels like she's solving a mystery, she's already hooked. The second shift is about leaving a lasting impression. Most guys focus on being charming or funny in the moment, but a truly magnetic man plays a longer game. He doesn't just want her to smile during the conversation. He wants her to think about him hours or days later. How do you do that? By planting emotional seeds, small, vivid ideas that stick in her mind and grow over time. If you say something generic like, "You seem nice," she'll forget it before she finishes her coffee. If you say something too bold or shocking, she might push back or shut down. The sweet spot is saying something that shifts her perspective just a little. It could be a playful challenge to how she sees the world, a comment that makes her rethink something about herself, or a short story that feels personal but leaves her curious. For example, instead of saying, "I like to travel," you might say, "I once got lost in a city where I didn't speak the language. It taught me how to trust my instincts." What's a moment that forced you to trust yours? That's not just a statement. It's an invitation to connect, to think, to feel. Machiavelli would have said that true power lies in what echoes after you're gone. To make this work, focus on quality over quantity. Say less, but make it count. Share an idea or observation that's unique, something that makes her pause and think. Maybe you notice how she lights up when she talks about her passion. Point it out. You get this spark when you talk about that. Most people don't have that. Where does it come from? Then let her answer. Don't rush to fill the silence. That small seed you planted will grow in her mind. making her think of you when she's alone, wondering what else you see in her. Here's a practical tip. Prepare a few thought-provoking ideas or questions ahead of time. They don't need to be complicated, just something that feels fresh and unexpected. For instance, if she mentions a goal she's working toward, don't just nod and say, "That's cool." Try, "What's the one thing you'd sacrifice to make that happen?" It's subtle, but it makes her reflect, and it ties her thoughts back to you. When her mind keeps circling back to that moment, you've already started to become unforgettable. The third shift is about staying in charge of the conversation without ever seeming like you're trying too hard. Women, especially those who are confident and sharp, will test you. They might tease you, disagree with your opinion, or question your confidence. Most guys either get defensive or back down to avoid a fight. But a man who understands influence doesn't react. He redirects. This is called frame control, and it's about steering the conversation without clashing. You don't argue, you don't explain yourself, and you don't try to win her approval. Instead, you let her say what she wants, stay calm, and then guide the conversation back to where you want it to go. For example, if she says, "That's a bold opinion," with a teasing smile, most guys would either defend their point or laugh it off nervously. Instead, try this. Smile back and say, "Maybe it is. But tell me, what's the boldest thing you've ever thought but never said out loud?" You've just flipped the script. Now she's the one sharing, and you're still in control. Machiavelli would have said that power lies in redefining the moment, not reacting to it. To do this, expect her to challenge you. It's a sign she's engaged. Welcome it, but don't take the bait. Stay calm, keep your tone steady, and use her energy to pivot the conversation. If she teases you about your job, don't justify it. Say something like, "You're curious, aren't you? What's the one job you'd love to try, even just for a day?" You're not fighting her. You're inviting her into your world. Here's how to practice this. Next time you're in a conversation, notice when you feel the urge to defend yourself or explain. Instead, pause, smile, and redirect with a question or a subtle shift in topic. Keep your body relaxed, your voice steady, and your eyes locked on hers. That calm confidence shows her you're unshaken, and that's what builds respect. It's what turns a tense moment into a moment of connection. She'll feel safe opening up because you're grounded, not rattled. The fourth shift is about pulling her into your world instead of just talking about it. Most men bore women by rattling off facts about their lives, their job, their goals, their hobbies. It's like reading a resume out loud. But a man who captivates doesn't just share information, he creates an experience. He tells stories that make her feel something. When you tell a story the right way, two things happen. She feels what you felt, and she lets her guard down because the focus isn't on her. You don't need to talk about romance or attraction directly. A story about a challenge you faced, a place you visited, or a moment that shaped you can be just as powerful. The key is to make it vivid and emotional without sounding like you're bragging. For example, instead of saying, "I'm good at handling tough situations," you might say, "A few years ago, I was stuck in a storm on a mountain trail, no map, just me and my thoughts. I learned that sometimes you have to trust your gut to find your way back." That paints a picture she can see and feel. Machiavelli would have said that controlling someone's imagination is the key to capturing their emotions. To make this work, build a collection of 3 to 5 personal stories that reveal something about you, your resilience, your curiosity, your values. Keep them short, visual, and real. When you tell them, speak slowly, make eye contact, and watch her reactions. If her eyes light up or her body shifts toward you, you're doing it right. You're not just a guy she's talking to anymore. You're someone she's experiencing, and that pulls her closer without you even trying. Try this. Next time you're sharing something about yourself, turn it into a mini story. Instead of saying, "I like to travel," describe a specific moment. "I was in a tiny village market once, bargaining for a scarf in a language I barely knew. The old woman selling it laughed so hard she gave it to me for free." Pause after a key detail and let her react. That moment of connection is what makes her feel like she's part of your world. The fifth shift flips the usual dynamic. Instead of you chasing her attention, she starts chasing yours. Most guys talk too much, trying to fill every moment with words to seem interesting or valuable. They think silence is awkward, so they rush to avoid it. But a man who understands influence knows that silence is a tool. It creates tension, curiosity, and a pull that makes her want to keep the conversation going. Here's how it works. Say less than you feel like saying. Drop a thoughtful comment or a half-finished story, then pause. Let the silence hang for a moment. For example, if she asks about your weekend, don't launch into a long explanation. Say something like, "It was unexpected. I ended up somewhere I hadn't planned." Then stop. She'll likely ask, "Oh, where?" Now she's the one leaning in, trying to keep you talking. That shift in energy is powerful. She's investing in you. Machiavelli would have said that revealing everything hands away your power. To make this work, practice using pauses like a skill. When she asks a question, give a short, intriguing answer, then wait. When you share a story, stop at a high point and let her ask for more. Even in small moments, like when you catch her looking at you, hold eye contact for a beat longer than feels comfortable. That subtle pressure makes her feel you, not just hear you. It's what makes her wonder about you when you're not around. Here's a tip: start small. In your next conversation, try pausing for just 2 seconds after saying something interesting. Don't rush to fill the gap. Watch how she reacts. Does she lean in, ask a question, or smile nervously? That's her mind working to close the distance you've created. That's when you know you're not just talking, you're building attraction. The sixth shift is bold but subtle. You let her know, without saying it, that you're the one worth winning over. This isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about having standards. Most guys give away their attention too easily. They compliment her looks right away, laugh at her jokes, or agree with everything she says. But a man who captivates holds back. He observes her, not just her appearance, but how she acts, what she values, how she handles herself. He makes her wonder if she's earning his respect. For example, if she shares a story about her day, don't just nod and say, "That's great." Try, "That's interesting." Most people wouldn't handle it that way. Why did you? You're showing curiosity, but you're also signaling that you're paying attention to who she is, not just what she looks like. That makes her feel seen, but it also makes her want to show you more of her best self. Machiavelli would have said that people value what they have to work for. To make this work, don't rush to compliment or agree. Wait until she's shown you something worth praising: her wit, her kindness, her strength. When you do compliment, make it specific. "I like how you think on your feet." That's rare. That kind of praise feels earned, and it makes her want to keep earning it. She'll start sharing more, trying to impress you, because you've shown you don't just give your attention to anyone. Here's how to practice. In your next conversation, hold back one compliment you'd normally give. Instead, ask a question that makes her reveal more about herself. If she's telling you about her job, say, "What's the one thing about it that challenges you the most?" You're showing interest, but you're also making her invest in the conversation. That shift in dynamic makes her value you more because you're not chasing her approval. You're setting the standard. The final shift is what makes you unforgettable. It's not about flirting or charm. It's about leaving her mind better than you found it. Most guys try to impress women with compliments or humor, but that fades fast. What lasts is making her think differently about herself and the world. You do this not by preaching or showing off, but by asking questions no one else asks, noticing things no one else sees, and sharing insights that make her pause. For example, if she's talking about a problem she's facing, don't just offer advice. Ask, "What's the one thing you'd do differently if you weren't afraid of failing?" That kind of question makes her reflect, and it ties that moment of clarity to you. Or share a story from your life that connects to hers, like a time you faced a similar challenge and what you learned. Don't make it about you. Make it about the lesson. When she walks away feeling like she understands herself better, you've done something rare. Machiavelli would have said that the man who shapes a person's thoughts shapes their desires. To make this work, listen closely to what she says. Pick up on the little details, maybe a contradiction in her story or a passion she doesn't fully realize. Point it out gently. You say you're not creative, but the way you talk about that project says something else. Where does that spark come from? You're not criticizing. You're showing her a side of herself she hadn't seen. That's what makes her feel connected to you on a deeper level. Here's a practical step. In your next conversation, ask one question that digs a little deeper than usual. If she's talking about her dreams, don't just say, "That's cool." Ask, "What's the one dream you're afraid to admit, even to yourself?" Then listen. When you reflect her thoughts back to her, you become more than a guy she's talking to. You become someone who changes how she sees herself. That's what makes her come back, not just for attraction, but for the way you make her feel alive. These 7 shifts aren't about playing games. They're about becoming a man who naturally draws people in. You don't chase attention. You command it. You don't fill every silence. You use it. You don't just talk. You create moments that linger. By speaking with purpose, planting ideas, controlling the conversation, painting pictures, using silence, setting standards, and expanding her mind, you become the kind of man who stands out in a world full of noise. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about sharpening how you show up. You're not trying to be someone else. You're becoming the strongest version of yourself. A man who speaks less but says more. A man who moves slowly but makes her heart race. A man who doesn't need to prove himself because his presence does the talking. Machiavelli's Playbook is about influence, and influence is about understanding what moves people. Women don't want a man who tries too hard. They want someone who feels like a force of nature. Stable, confident, intentional. When you embody that, you don't need to chase. She'll come to you, not because of what you said, but because of who you are. If this resonates with you and you're ready to take control of your presence, check out my book, The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a clear, no-nonsense guide for men who want to lead in their relationships and beyond. No fluff, just strategies you can use every day to stand out and attract the right people. The link is in the description. If this guide sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below. Even a few words can help you process what you've learned and might inspire someone else. Hit the like button if this spoke to you and share it with someone who could use it. We're all working to become stronger, clearer, and more grounded. Let's keep building.